Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Ore Smorgasbord, which I've decided to name it. I'm Wokey and I'm here with Zenrot.
Hi everybody.
And we're here to talk about Ore Collection today. As is what we would want to do in this.
Yep, given the name of the show, that's probably a good idea.
So just to give you a heads up what we'll be talking about, we're going to start with Coolhead, and then which is the new meta team that's currently all over PvP, and then we're going to go into a little bit about what you should look for when you're going to be building a team. But let's start first with Coolhead. Coolhead started a little bit, I'll say Coolhead started when Nero came out and was the first support for it. Like, it's hard to tell, like, when does a meta start? Does it start when the champion of it comes out, which is Light, or does it start when the actual support is being shown, which is Nero? So I think it's a chicken before the egg situation, whether or not when something existed. But I would contribute it to when Nero came out and first said, "Hey, Coolheads can't be pushed back in their cooldowns." That's when this meta technically started.
I'll agree. I mean, there was no support for it at all when Light came out. Light was just really good.
Yeah. And
Nero definitely kicked it off.
Yeah, he kicked it off, and then Kurama just kind of pushed it over the edge. And Kurama was the PvP reward that we got for the first year anniversary, who was our first Jump Awakening PvP unit. And he has an effect that... Zen, why don't you actually run it down, because you're better with Coolhead, because I don't use Coolhead because I don't have Light.
You don't have Light, it's not really going to work out that great for you.
No. But if you do, it's amazing.
And if you have him, it's the best team in the game.
Yeah.
So they happen to all be purple, like the main core. There's Coolheads that aren't purple, but the main core is Light, Nero, and Kurama. So Kurama boosts the attack of all intelligent users by a intelligent members by a medium amount. And then it boosts the attack of all Coolhead members also by a medium amount. So Nero, Light, and Kurama get both of those. Above 50%, he has the same damage reduction that Nero has, which means that he cuts damage received by half. It's by half. What's a mega amount?
Mega is about, I think Super Mega is 80%, and I want to say Mega is 50%.
And then he blocks one status debuff for cool-headed characters. Light, your Nero.
Yeah, those are the main pillars of Coolhead.
Characters you can use that also have Coolhead if you want to, like Killua is popular. Itachi gets used a little bit because he has synergy with Kurama with their ults, but in my opinion, Light, Kurama, and Nero, or there's no point.
Yeah, those are your three main guys. If you don't have all three, you're going to have a very, very rough time running Coolhead at all. But while you have them, it's like literally, it's like Exodia.
Pretty much. So Kurama and Nero have the same damage reduction passive, where they reduce incoming damage by a mega amount if their health is over a certain point. Kurama's is 50%, so Kurama's a little bit more durable. But they're both really good tanks, especially now that Coma is out, and you can add an extra 30% damage reduction on top of them if you want to.
Yeah,
Nero, I just stack tank. I don't do full tank with Kurama, but I do with Nero.
Yeah, I've seen it go either way. Usually the ones that are full tank Kurama end up being the ones that he's the last one alive, but he can't win if he's by himself.
Alone. And then you have Light with his default 6 shields. Even though he's actually pretty fragile, he's tanky just because he eats 6 hits and you can't do anything about it. You have to break him.
Yeah.
Game that gets rid of shields other than breaking it, right?
Currently there isn't, just because shields aren't considered a buff. They're just something that happens.
Like a status.
There's two. The passive shields are different from effect shields, because I think I noticed that Goku can put one stack of shields, but if you try to combine them with Gaara, who also gives shields, they won't stack because passive shields don't stack. But something like an effect that says like, oh, shield an enemy once from damage, that will stack with a passive stack. So you can
Yeah,
have
like you can stack Vivi and Goku.
yeah. That's the way you can kind of stack them. But otherwise, he has 6,
But
and there's no way to break them.
yeah, they're passive shields, so stuff like who gets rid of all status buffs before he attacks still won't get rid of Light's shields.
Yeah, Lee. Lee won't get rid of his shields.
And then you have the thing with this core too is I don't know if it was intentional. The devs were aware that Light and Neuro were already pretty good together, so they dropped like the last piece of the puzzle that's everything they could want.
I feel like it.
Kurama.
Yeah, I think it was just because the way that Sasuke is about to be released. I have a feeling that one, and the fact that Sasuke came out so quick is that one, they did intend to have it out, but then they didn't think that Coma combined with them would make them so dominant. So then they are
85% of the entire endgame.
yeah. So they're trying to release a unit who has literally like recharging shields and is extremely fast and has only one job, which is trying to stop cool-headed members.
Sasuke's entire role. We'll talk about Sasuke countering the team in a little bit.
Yeah.
But all three of them that they do for the team. So Light is your pure damage. He cuts his own cooldown. He does damage, and then he does his ult. That's all he's there for.
Mhm.
Kurama can do multi-hit if he needs to. So if you are going to go up against another purple team and you want to get multiple hits on a Light's shield, Kurama can do that. Kurama can roll back ultimate attack, so his skill that cuts back ultimate attack gauge, it also cuts their attack by a large amount for 2 turns, so it makes them pretty irrelevant unless it's a really strong nuke. He's got an AoE enemy main team hit, makes them take more damage from cool-headed characters for 2 more turns. He's a support character. Then Neuro, all of the abilities you're going to bring for him also either cut enemy defense or increase the amount of damage enemies take from cool-headed characters. So you have 2 characters that can do that. Both have really fast ultimates. Light's, I think, ends up being like 27 seconds because of the skill that cuts his own cooldown down a little bit.
Mm-hmm. If you're running that, which you should.
And then you can make them even faster because most cool-headed teams I've seen tech Misa now.
Yeah, they do use Misa. The main one I see is Misa and AI.
Yeah, that's what I usually see too. I don't run that anymore because I think it's really easy to counter nowadays with Ichigo.
It's also really, I can say just from using my Heart can also very easily counter it too.
I run Kiniku now.
Yeah. It's too. I and Misa are too weak. Like they hold.
Anything other than making the core faster.
Yeah.
And if the core can't kill, which against someone like you've got Dai and you've got Gohan and all them who can action, it's not going to matter.
Mm-hmm. It's a literal, but they'll always win on attack, but they'll always lose on defense. It's that kind of team. It's one of those, like, they'll always win when there's nothing to fight back against you.
I attack in Kiniku so that Heart can't do any damage. I think I'm the only one that does that still.
Yeah, you're the only one who's using Kiniku Man, but you're using him extremely effectively at least.
Takes 1 damage from Dai's ultimate when Kiniku Man's on the team.
Which is solid.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
The basics of that team is that you have that core, you support them however you want, because you have a lot of options to support them with. You can even throw in just Dai and Killua if you want, just to break down targets faster. As long as you have the big 3, you're fine.
Yeah.
And it's not the case anymore because of Sasuke.
Sasuke's here to, in a lot of ways, just kind of not. There's still going to be there's no doubt in my mind, Kurama's still going to be the #1 team because it's similar to when Bobobo was #1 and they released a Bobobo killer, and then what happened is that people ran Bobobo and him.
What's gonna happen too is that you're gonna run Coolhead and Sasuke now.
Yeah.
As a combination.
Here's something. So, can you run down real quick what Sasuke does?
From his passives, when his health is above
90%,
his charge goes up by 10% speed.
and that's his skills and an ultimate.
Yeah, all of his stuff. It's the same as like Killua. I think Killua has the same thing.
Killua's only ult. And that's why Killua's is 10% faster, is because he only charges the ult, while Sasuke charges everything.
Then Sasuke has a built-in shield. It's only one, but it's still pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
He reduces damage received units for the entire team by a large amount.
Yeah, he's like a Kaniku man, but for cool head.
Yeah, and Kaniku Man has an HP threshold, and Sasuke does not.
Yeah, so
that's pretty wild.
It's also pretty accurate to Kaniku Man, because Kaniku Man is kind of a fuck up a lot. So it's really funny that his requires taking damage from. Like if he takes any form of damage, then the shield goes away.
Okay, we've got skill 1 is 200% damage to the enemy back row.
Yeah.
The support back characters. And then it increases their damage received from ninja units.
Yeah.
Which I assume is just Naruto characters at this point.
No, actually there is one other ninja. It's Ninku. Ninku is a ninja. And whenever they release more Gin support, there's ninja dogs as well. But well, you know what? For right now, for all intents and purposes, it's Naruto characters.
It's just Sasuke, Naruto, and Itachi, really, because most of the Naruto characters aren't good either.
For PvP, yes, that's true.
PvP, yeah, Sakura's pretty good outside of it, but
yeah.
His second skill is 200% damage, ignoring defense to the main team, so the front row. And then if they're physical, it rolls back their skills and ultimates by 5%, which I guess is kind of a funny nod to like, haha, suck it, Naruto.
It is, but it's also a haha, suck it, Misa if you're running her in the front.
Misa in the front.
It's the funny thing is that
anyway.
Yeah, the funny thing is he has two moves that literally like, are you running Misa in the front? Well, her cooldowns are down. You running her in the back? Well, prepare to take this damage then.
I don't really know if that skill 1 that hits the back row is really going to matter that much. 200% is not a lot, and back row units aren't as frail as they used to be.
They're not, but then when you consider the fact that he does double damage to Misa, and not a lot of people are running defensive Misa because they don't see the point, and then that just takes down another light shield, it's kind of like one of those things of like, you're right, it's not super effective, but it is more effective when you consider the fact that Sasuke can actually just spam everything he has.
Fast. So that first skill that hits the back row is 18 seconds.
Yeah. And it's
the
actually...
one that hits the front row is 20 seconds.
Yeah. And, oh, sorry, continue with what you were going with before I interrupted you.
3 is reduce the damage dealt by all enemies by a large amount, reduce the ultimate attack damage of all enemies by a large amount, and if they have Cool Head, reduce their ult and skill cooldown charge speed by 20%.
That is hilarious. That is maybe the funniest move ever. It's the ultimate, like, fuck you, Cool Head I've ever seen.
It is, because it cuts damage, so even if you get the nuke spam off with, like, Kurama and Light, it's not going to matter. And you have to wait even longer for your follow-up skills.
Yeah. It's definitely something that's annoying, and I could see maybe... if you don't get Sasuke, I could see Cool Head running like the healer girl that just automatically removes all status buffs, just so that they don't have to deal with that.
Shit, yeah.
Yeah. Or even... Yeah, we'll continue. Sorry, go on with his last skill. I'm jumping the gun.
Yeah, his fourth skill... It's gonna... I know it's gonna sound bad on paper, but wait until I say all of it, because holy shit. It gives him 2 shields, and it heals him for 3,000 HP for 2 turns. So it's the same level of healing as Vivi's heal, and it also gives him 2 shields. It's kind of okay, until you realize the cooldown is 16 seconds.
Yeah, I think this is the part where... This is why people are underestimating Sasuke, is that they're underestimating how quickly they can actually damage Sasuke in time.
16 seconds with 10% faster is what, like a little bit over 14 seconds?
And then you factor in... Yeah, and if you're using Mihawk, then he gets that even quicker.
It heals him 6,000 health with 2 shields. He can heal back into his passive.
Yeah. And the best thing is that he starts with a shield, so you actually have to damage him multiple times in order to do anything.
If you put Sasuke in the back row, I don't see what anyone does. Like, especially with the cool head team, you can't really break it.
No. You have to run. So here's the one thing I think could do it, which is you would have to tag in Sket Dance and hope for the stun on Sasuke.
Cool head, back row Sket Dance.
Yeah. Like, I'm trying to think of, like, do to hit the back row, and the answer is, like, not a lot of people hit the back row. Unless it's their ult. Skills... Go ahead.
Ime does it, Sasuke does it, and I know Bruno can do it.
Naruto does it, but only when his skills... It's too late by the time... By the time he does it, Sasuke should kill Naruto.
Because he hits every single enemy with that frog skill. Yeah. But it's too slow. Naruto's... he'll never get it off.
Yeah, unless they start running, like... Unless they release a Jiraiya who's, like, anyone who is cool with frogs. Actually, if they release Froppy and they're like, by the way, now we're adding frog characteristic, and anyone with frog characteristic gets a cooldown forward moving up, that's the only way I could see something like that happening. But at this moment, like...
Sasuke is his ultimate, which is 450 damage to all enemies, which is okay.
Yeah.
Then a further 3 hits of 150 damage that ignore defense to cool head enemies.
That's maybe the... So here's the thing, is that I think maybe they lead Sasuke a bit too heavy on the cool head, but I think it works in the sense of, like, this Sasuke is supposed to be... Like, he's built off of his hate for Naruto and Itachi.
So he literally counters physical characters and cool head characters, which is Naruto and Itachi.
But in such a... Like, because there are characters that counter other characters, but not this extreme. Like, I've never seen a man hate 2 kinds of people so bad as this Sasuke.
Yeah, it's really bad. Now, this ultimate does do 10% of his max HP in damage to himself.
Yeah.
So that will... his speed up passive.
Yeah. Which is why you should run that shield passive.
Right, because you'll heal back into it right away.
Yes. And I think
then,
yeah.
Another thing I like about this ultimate that I don't really see anyone talking about is it is exactly 1 second fast enough to cut Gohan.
Oh yeah, it is exactly 1 second. Well,
3 seconds, and Sasuke's is 32 seconds.
Yeah, like face to face. Like, so the reason they did that is because Gohan would absolutely like raffle stomp Sasuke because he has the die support, but because he has like Mihawk support and because he's faster, he's going to be able to outrun Gohan. The thing is that whether or not he's going to be able to kill Gohan, who knows? Because 450% from a tech unit, that's not going to do anything against a heart.
That's not going to kill Gohan, but as long as it breaks up the team and then the rest of the guys can kill Gohan, his job's done.
Yeah, that's the important thing. Is like this, he is the world's slowest but also fastest assassin. He's maybe the weirdest built assassin ever because he's an assassin built specifically to kill 2 kinds of things, and hopefully you just disrupt everything else. But I also like that he's kind of like a recharging light. Like, as long as you keep those shields up and they keep like they can't do anything, then you'll have to focus fire on him in a way that's like gonna make you waste a lot of skills.
Auto attacks, you're never gonna get through the shields, especially if you're going up like if he is on a cool head core. So you've got Kurama, Light, Neuro, and Sasuke. You're not going to be able to focus fire on Sasuke because then you're not focusing fire on Light, or you're not breaking Kurama.
And also, as a kind of like side benefit, Sasuke is going to make it so that Killua is going to be way less effective against Light. Because Killua is like cool-headed. So all these like Killua teams that are banking on the fact that he's about to do a shit ton of ult damage to you just got like half their strategy taken away.
Sasuke, I mean, he's a pretty blatant like, oh shit, we fucked up the meta, fix it quick kind of unit.
Yeah, he is.
I know. I undersold him a little bit when he came out, and I still see a lot of people saying that he's a hard skip, and I don't see how. I think that he's really good.
I think I oversold him, and I think that might have been like me being with you, going like, I saw how you undersold him, and I was just like, I know more than Zen. I got this. I'm gonna say he's the best, and we meet somewhere in the middle. Is that I think he's actually very solid, like in terms of PvP. Like I don't understand how you see this guy, and like if you're running Heart, you should get this dude because he literally takes care of everything.
He takes away your only bad matchup.
Yeah, he takes away like Coolhead, and then he also gets rid of Naruto, because those are the two weaknesses that Heart has. Is that no matter what, is that I have to constantly live in fear that a Naruto will just show up out of nowhere and kick my shit in, and the other fear is that I'm not going to do enough damage to kill a Light in time. But with him on the team, it helps, like, Kurama does a little bit less damage, everyone does a little bit less damage, and I'm able to, like, breathe a little bit more. And I also can live in solace knowing that, like, they can't touch him.
Chance with on the actual team that Heart probably moves back up into number 1.
I'll be interested to see.
Maybe not in how common it is, just because Kurama's free.
Yeah. Yeah.
In terms of like effectiveness, I think there's a decent shot.
Yeah, I also think it also moves athletes a little bit forward too.
Makes athletes a lot.
So in a funny way, Sasuke kind of helps athletes. It also helps Coolhead, because he's also a very effective Coolhead. And maybe Coolhead will stop running so many Misas, because I feel like that's the reason why you see Misa as the main Coolhead person, is because it helps you beat mirror Coolhead fights. That's the only reason I could see why they run her. She is extremely good. Don't let me undersell Misa. She's
Misa on everything.
Say it again.
I run 2 main teams. I said I run Misa on everything. I have 2 main teams that I use. I have my Coolhead team, which is the core, Misa, and Kaniku. Mm-hmm. And then I have my Coolhead counter team, which is Ichigo, Bobobo, Misa, and Yusuke. Yeah. Really good.
That's a really solid S team. I currently have Heart, and then I have a Scumbag Skit Dance that I use against the one Kurama team I can't beat. It's literally
monster.
Yeah. The defensive, just like the pure defensive power of Coolhead can't be understated. It is insane right now. And the funny thing is that this Sasuke is coming out, but then the next PvP reward, I'm going to be interested to see what he does, because I think he might be able to fit on Coolhead as well. I've started reading the manga, and he's like right on the border of a Coolhead, but also not a Coolhead, similar to how Sasuke acts cool-headed, but then deep down is like an angry emo guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes Coolhead is something like, I'm trying to think of like what is the exact like requirements to meet Coolhead, which is like Kurama. I could see he's cool as a cucumber 24/7, fits 100%. Light, he sometimes laughs while eating potato chips, but still cool-headed. He keeps, maybe it's a being able to keep it cool under the pressure. Like under pressure,
that's why I assume it's like chill under pressure. But then again, Killua is that, and he isn't very chill under pressure most of the time.
Yeah, so I think it's like a combo of being chill and also being chill in combat gets you cool-headed. But I still think, like, no matter what, even with this like tiny bit of defense, it's only one unit, and not everyone's going to be able to pull that unit. So Coolhead, I can it's still very much a top team. It and Heart are constantly in a battle for dominance, and I feel like every new card is going to be another like waging war between the two, until eventually another new meta comes in, and it's like, actually, we're better than both of you, and both get cast to the side. It's going to be Josuke bringing in the JoJo meta.
% okay with that.
I know you would. There's plenty of people just waiting for the JoJo meta.
It's got to be coming soon.
That's the hope. It's either, I think today, in like a couple hours, we're going to learn whether or not Josuke's free or it's the horse. It's going to be one of those.
If Josuke is free, I'm going to be really frustrated.
If Josuke's free, I'm gonna laugh so hard that the horse made it to potentially a banner. How did the
What did
fucking
you
horse?
in a banner?
What?
What could the horse even really bring to the table?
He's an athlete.
For God's sake.
I'm trying to think of, like, here's the thing. I tried to read that manga just to figure out, because I look at that horse. That looks like a cool fucking horse. I want to know what's the deal with the horse. But, because it's from the 90s and wasn't a battle shonen, nobody's translating it. So I don't know what his deal is. But yeah, that's kind of cool head. In a kind of, that's like the current state of PvP as of this moment, is that cool head is clear number one. In my heart was always number one, but in my brain I knew that Kurama was one.
I mean, Heart's still number 2 in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's after that.
I would actually say that in the current state, Athlete is better than Heart, because Athlete can actually beat Heart very easily. Even it's like not even a free win on like defense anymore for Heart. That's the kind of current state that Heart is in, is that athletes at some point, because of Mihawk, they deal too much damage to All Might in a really weird way, and there's too many actual dangerous units on the field, and Mihawk actually stops you from killing him with Dai, because he takes 80% less damage from Dai.
He negates Swordsman, basically.
Yeah. And it turns out, like, when I thought, like, oh, Mihawk, it's not going to be that bad. And it turns out that I actually do want to kill Mihawk, and my number one assassin can't touch him. And if I do, I'm wasting 3 skills. I'm wasting 2 skills and an ult. And that's too much for one unit for me, when Dai should be killing it in one hit.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. It's very interesting. I think there's some interesting moves, and I'll be interested to see what the coming units after Sasuke brings in.
Because I main Coolhead and not Heart, I approach that match completely differently. I don't even touch Mihawk.
Yeah, but to you, I'm sure Mihawk isn't like much of anything. Like, I think Int can tank a lot of what Athletes does, but Heart doesn't tank, it kills. And when it can't kill, that's when a problem arises. But with but with Sasuke on the team and Mihawk, you have a Mihawk to counter their Mihawk. So it's like well, at least I know for sure this Mihawk isn't going to be able to take down this Mihawk.
We said Mihawk enough times for everybody.
I hope. If we say it one more time, Rick gets summoned. All right, I think that's a pretty good thing to say in the state. If we were to do a power ranking, I would say current number 1 power rank, that's Cool Head. Number 2, me personally,
Heart, and then correct yourself to Coolhead.
Huh? No, I said
It
Cool
sounded
Head.
like you started saying Heart and then corrected yourself to Coolhead.
My heart says Heart, but no. Number 1 in my power rankings is literally it's Cool Head. Number 2 is like Heart, because I feel like not enough people run Athletes, because Athletes is still very hard to build because it requires a PvP unit that hasn't been coming back in a while. And then number 3 would be Athletes.
That guy forever.
Yeah, someday it will come back. And then number 4 would be the Senna Xanax Rush. And then 5 would still be
The thing about that team is that it is completely free to Coolhead.
It is. It is 100% free to Coolhead.
Look.
Oh, actually, number 5 instead of Sket Dance would be the anti-Kurama team.
The Misa thing?
Yeah, the anti-Kurama Defense Force. Hot-headed.
That's literally all it's for, is to kill Kurama. It does not do super great in other matchups.
No. Damn, the funny thing is that there is actually a characteristic called, like, hot-blooded. And unfortunately, Yusuke and Ichigo don't have it. Otherwise, I would call it, like, the counter to Coolhead.
Yusuke doesn't have it.
Yeah, you'd think he would have it. But I guess he acts cool enough. Like, there's a difference between being... I think Kuwabara has it, but not Yusuke. And I think it's because you can...
Because that would be very funny.
It would be. But yeah, that's how I feel currently. How do you feel?
I'm pretty much on board with that, I think. Kurama teams, Cool Head's definitely the best. If you start getting into 2K Plus, for those of you that are already there or are trying to get there, it's all you're going to see.
Oh,
I've
yeah.
gone 3 pages in a row with nothing but Cool Head enemies.
And if you're not running Cool Head, prepare to wake up to 10 Cool Head attacks.
Also, you're right, Kuwabara does have Hot Blooded.
See, it's him and the horse. Him and that weird horse they have hot-headed.
Hot Blooded is Gin, the dog.
There you go. See, that would be such an awesome team. Gin the dog, this fucking horse, and Kuwabara.
Yeah, I can see that. That's what we need. That's what we need to save the meta.
Exactly. Hot head to fight the cool. We need a hot summer breeze to take
Cool.
down this cool man's heart.
But yeah, I mean, I think the only 3 teams that are like only 3 teams, because I think a lot of teams can get to 2K.
Yeah.
But I think the main 3 teams that are a huge presence on the ladder are the Cool Head and Athletes.
Yeah. That's currently where it is. But I'm kind of happy to see Athletes climb its way back up. It's kind of funny that they were the team that was mocked, and now they're like the third, arguably like actually very good now. And it took them...
Kind of killed them because they didn't really have the support they needed to get through Gohan anymore. And then Mihawk was like, "What's up? I am not an athlete, but you are all green."
And so the day was saved thanks to Mihawk, my favorite athlete.
Number 1 athlete,
Mihawk. Dracul Mihawk. Alright, I think now that's the cool head talk, and I think it's time for us to try and help people out. So, like a nice little beginner's guide. And I think the first thing that is something that's extremely important to learn. It's the only way you'll know how to get better. And it's something that I get asked all the time. It's like, how do I build a team? It's what should go into building a team. Sorry, say again.
I just said okay.
Okay. Okay, so there's like... Let me see. And this is going to go for PvP. For PvE, you follow the same rule set, except for you have the ability, you have the added bonus of having a friend lead that powers up everyone else by their leader skill as well. So just assume that it goes both ways, really. Even though for raids specifically, you need to, it requires like a very specific team to counter what they're doing. This is mainly focused on PvP. But here's the thing that you kind of want in a team. You want synergy. You want... That's it. I think you want synergy.
Well, yeah, that's fair.
Like, when I'm building a team, you want to look at the units, you want to see the passives, you want to see how, if the passives work, they benefit someone else on the team. Like, for a good example, Vivi has 4 skills, and people always wonder, okay, well, one of these is useless, but what do I do with the other 3? How do I determine whether or not I use them? And it depends on what you need on the team. Do you need healing? Well, in the old days when it was Die, you didn't need healing. You needed a cooldown reduction. So you'd go with cooldown reduction over healing. But now that Kurama's the main person around and he like kind of makes cooldown reduction useless, you want healing. Because that tiny bit of healing could be enough to save you from a team that can't heal if it's down to the last like 2 people left on the team. And it's better to have, like, a healing ability than it is to have a... The overall team would rather have a healing ability than it would need a cooldown reduction. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can sign off on that pretty much. For PvE, I don't really build teams.
Yeah.
For PvP, though, what I like to do when I'm putting a team together is, first off, I find out who the team is going to be built around and why I want to use that person. So, like, you go because you want him to counter Kurama, that's fine. If you want to build a team around Gohan because he can kill everybody, that's fine.
Yes.
I do that with every character because obviously you're not going to bring like Seiya into PvP and build the perfect team that makes him, a 2K killer. But you generally want to find out what the goal of your team is going to be and what character is going to do that for you. And then you want to surround him with the characters that are going to make him able to do that. So, like, that's how that team that the guy who got number 1 last time,
Atsu?
that we all got the Ichigo, Yusuke, Misa, Bobo, and I team.
Mm-hmm.
is that really have that many passives that work well together, except for Bobobo helping Ichigo and Yusuke.
Hmm.
But all their skill combinations accomplish the primary goal of Yusuke ults, the match is over.
Yeah, yeah.
Team wants to do. It wants to use those two skills, and that's the end.
Yeah, and I think it's the way teams are currently built is actually very much like a shonen. Like you need to establish who is the protagonist. So in a Kurama team, it's Light, and then you want to build up the best support posse that you can think of with him, which is Nero, Kurama, and then you have a rotating cast of people in the back that are, depending on the situation, needed for this specific battle. And like, because like for example, you say like sometimes you put in Kinnikuman, but Kinnikuman isn't always going to be needed for that episode. So basically, treat every PvP fight like an episode of a shonen.
Yeah, I liken it a lot to Pokemon. If you know how to build a Pokemon team, that you have these auxiliary characters who aren't there to win you the game, sure that your game ender gets his job done.
Yeah. So for example, if you had a Butterfree, you want to make sure to have a Pidgeotto in the back that you want to switch into whenever it looks like the Butterfree is in danger.
Pidgeotto can die and get that Butterfree the extra turn that it needed.
Exactly. And that's it's the Pidgeotto has one job and it does it beautifully. And it's to keep the Butterfree safe. And that's kind of what you kind of want to accomplish with your teams. And it can be a lot to a lot of people. And I remember I talked to D-Free about it and he was like, yeah, I went away from the game for a bit. And when I came back, everything had changed. Suddenly there was way more like, yeah, there was suddenly like a way more focus on what makes a good team and how one unit should like help the entire team in some way. Cause you don't want a unit that doesn't benefit the team. And that's why I think a lot of the times people like to use AI is because AI is a splashable unit that if you're running a team that doesn't have the exact right things it needs, AI's passives usually benefit. It's like it warrants that space on the team, even though none of her skills will ever really help you unless like the enemy AI is all agile and they're all very dumb. They won't target her. So that's kind of like one thing you should think about when you're building a team. Is that they're... Go ahead.
I was just agreeing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and it can be very tough, especially because, the game's in Japanese and there's a bunch of characteristics that you kind of need to get familiar with. But the best way to start is to start with one team, look, try and build it, and also in PvP, look at how other people fight. Like, that's the number one way to understand how to get better, is that you need to study your opponents, look at what they're doing, and kind of break down why this works. So, for example, back when I had no die, during the very dark times of 1700 rank of PvP, I didn't know what the hell to do, because I was 13 in, I had no die, and there was no way for me to win. So I started looking at enemies who made it to 2000, and I would look at their team, and I'm like, how the hell did this guy make it to 2000? He doesn't have die. And I saw that they were using Ace. And I was like, what? Like, Ace is good? Like, I need to fight this guy and figure out what the hell's going on. And through the fight, like, I got my ass handed to me, because that's the day I learned that Ace actually has an AoE skill that lowers the defense of anyone that has a fighting spirit, which at the time of the meta was every single character relevant to the meta. And then he had a self-buffing attack that buffed his attack but then lowered his defense, but then it didn't matter because 5 seconds later, or like 3 seconds later, he did an AoE that could completely decimate an entire team. And he's an extremely good...
It's a fun fact, Ace is coming back.
Really?
Teams run him in the back now.
Oh, I think that makes sense because of kind of the way he's built. I've actually seen a couple Ace. Ace has always been a solid unit for a banner card that is kind of like, depending on the ebb and flow of the meta, gets more prominence. Like, his skill set is extremely good at one thing, which is just completely destroying an entire like field of dudes. He's very good at like lowering their defense low enough for them to be taken out. And that's how I learned that Ace was good, is that I had to look at other people and be like, okay, let me study your team for a bit, get my ass handed to me, and kind of build that into my team. And from that point on, I used Ace, and I was able to climb my way to 1700s before quickly realizing that it wasn't worth going to 2000 and just dying all the time. And then I eventually pulled Die, and everything was hunky-dory from there. That's a happy ending.
A lot of people ask me, Cake, and I generally will sometimes, but you're not going to learn how to games because there's a lot that goes into it in this game, you know?
Yeah.
Dokkan, where it's like, oh, okay, you want to be inside the category and have a lot of attack power, and that's all you got to do, you know?
Yeah, yeah. That's like the number one thing that kind of matters in Dokkan. I'm sorry, say it again.
Just agreeing with you. I said that, yeah, right.
I'll just assume you're agreeing with me for all intents and purposes. But yeah, that's something like, especially, it's also something that is funny because at a certain point I got so used to the way Ore works is that I forgot how to build teams in Dokkan. And it's two very different kind of mindsets in what makes a good Dokkan team and what makes a good Ore team. And it's going to be even harder. It's going to be ever changing because in Dokkan you never have to worry about the enemy being as strong as you are in PvP because it doesn't matter. Like the World Tournament, who gives a shit? Broly automatically kills everyone.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like and then if they AoE, congratulations, you're dead. Like either way, you were fucked. There was no way for you to get out of the situation. But in Ore, it's very different. It's like an ebb and flow, kind of like, well, the battle's kind of turning this way, and I can understand, like, this is what my team can do, and as long as it can do this, I can win. And so it's up to you in battle to realize what's preventing it from winning, and then just kind of, like, building your team to be better, like, adding Coma to them, adding, like, all this other stuff to them. And it's maybe, like, something that you should also look into. Like, there's even, like, another, like, we didn't get into Coma just because Coma is an entirely different beast that we need to handle on another day. But you can totally, like, customize somebody's Coma so that the enemy AI will always attack the unit with the least HP, but then you can give the unit with the least HP a bunch of defense boosters. So then it basically null and voids a lot of their attack because they're focusing on a unit that has crazy damage reduction. So when building...
Coma's a monster for another day, but it definitely that you can organize your teams a little bit.
Yeah. It gives you like a little bit of like extra like guiding hand. Not a lot of it, but enough of it for you to kind of like push your team to a very specific kind of like fight style. And
take a bad character and put Coma on them and all of a sudden they're, destroying people. That's not gonna happen, but
no. I'm gonna try. A Rayleigh meta coming soon.
Hey, more power to you. Doesn't she counter something actually?
Unfortunately, she counters Heart, which it's gonna take a while for. So when Sasuke comes back and has no, because she's physical. God damn it! This is the monkey's paw wish.
Cool Head is getting a hit, but at what cost?
It cost me by a Rayleigh meta. I'm still going to keep trying. One day, physical will have that support. God. All she needed was heroin. I wake up every day saying that to myself.
I don't know if that's the right way to say it.
What? Oh, no. Okay, my bad. There's a characteristic heroine, you monsters. Anyone who thinks otherwise is bad.
All she needs is heroin.
So to give a good example of team building, the reason I say that is because right now Aurelia is limited to, there's nothing that boosts her forward because all she has is Protag, which AI helps boost. She has robotic parts, which Lee boosts a little bit, and then Misa can help her if she ults. But if Aurelie had the characteristic of heroine, which is used in waifu teams to let them like move forward, she could be moved forward at such a pace that like she could be their main damage dealer, and then Misa would get off all her stuff, and then they would boost Aurelie so powerful that she could actually end the game with one hit. Because I think her ult actually does like pretty crazy damage. The thing is that it's just too slow. So that's a case.
Came in and stole her spot.
Yep. So that's another case of like that's how you can look at a character and you know. That's also kind of why I don't like fully judging a character until I see their characteristics. Like if Sasuke has swordsman, he's actually much better than we thought because Mihawk will boost him even further.
Might be like a real team.
Yeah. And then swordsman might actually get a real team, which is also scary because there's a lot of like swordsman teams around there, but we don't know until he's released. Like, I had the same thing of when, if Ichigo came out and he had Master, he would have gotten an additional 5% from Bobobo, and I'm pretty positive that would make him better enough that he would beat other teams besides Kurama. Like, 5% goes a long way in this game. Like,
it does.
5% is enough to...
The main speed support passive is 5%.
Yeah. So it's like... It's a lot of stuff you need to figure out. Yeah. So that's kind of what I think you need to look for in team building. This isn't like a call to say stop asking me for team building because I will always gladly help a new person out in Ore. But that's how you kind of need to start looking at stuff. You need to be able to, as Zen said, kind of look at what your team is trying to accomplish and then try and make sure that it's able to accomplish it. Because otherwise, it's not going to work out.
And yeah, well, I mean, we're not saying don't ever come to us for help. Obviously, you're more than welcome to do that. But just make sure that if you're getting help and people are building you teams, you understand why it works.
Yeah. Like, you understand why...
in the right slot doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, and I think if once you get that going, you're gonna be in a place with me. Like, Zen had to learn all this stuff, and look at him now. 6 months ago, didn't know if JoJo was good or not, and look at him now. He's on par with me, if not better, probably.
JoJo, unfortunately, not very strong
at the moment.
Giorno had his moment for a little bit, and then he kind of died because Kurama came.
And then, unfortunately, also he might have died a little bit before that just because Xanax was so good at what he was doing, which is...
Xan's with him before.
Okay, if I see that team now, Gio's not on it anymore. They've moved past him and have
not
gone
anymore. He was until Kurama.
Yeah.
His rollback was the best thing that he had, and now everybody is using a purple team that can't be rolled back, so it's just a nightmare.
Yeah. And funny enough, Aya is still used because against teams that aren't Int, if Int fights them, then they can... That's the one team that actually was able to beat me, was one that slotted in Aya, and I couldn't do anything because I couldn't get past their giant-ass wall of defense. And she's useless against other Kurama teams. Say it again?
They used her on a Coolhead team?
Yeah. So
That's interesting.
They put an entire fucking wall in front of me and then put Misa in the back. And then if I had to kill... So I had to kill basically Light, Kurama, Nero, one of them, and then kill Misa, and then I would be just in time to watch Aya kill me, because she would completely fuck my team.
Her ult is pretty much a game ender.
It is. And it's crazy that even with Coolhead, like, stopping her, in all essence, it still can't be understated how fucking crazy that ult is. Like...
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah. And also because Sket Dance isn't around anymore, people are more free to run her. But that's why I also slotted in Sket Dance, because I was like, fuck your shit, I don't want to deal with this.
Ultimate beginner team and the ultimate tech to deal with anyone in the back. I run my Misa just because Sket Dance is in the game.
Yep. Turns out Sket Dance... So even with Sket Dance not being as scary as it once was, it's still extremely effective. It's just that now you can counter it better.
If it works, you still automatically lose. There's nothing you can do about it. You just lose.
Yep. Sometimes the RNG is just against you. And that's why I think we should have a new Sket Dance JA. Just think about how hilarious.
No. No. Get Dance is done.
I'm just waiting. Every single day that passes by, I just keep waiting for them to announce the Sket Dance JA and then just watch everyone quit. And then it'll be back to me. Me and Rick.
The Sket Dance meta comes back. It's just going to be you and Rick OB6ing bad characters together.
Just kind of going back and forth, going like, remember when people played? That was cool. But check out this.
Before they jump awakened Hime.
Before they gave Hime a jump awaken and her ult hit everyone. Actually, that would be hilarious if they gave her a jump awakening that literally hit everyone on the field.
Awaken that makes her ult hit the back row 7 times. So it breaks all of Light's shields and kills him.
That would be great. It wouldn't be good, but the only way to justify that would be like it would have to be a 75 like All Might style ult. It would have to be like 75 seconds so that when it got hit by the half, it would be like, okay, you have 35 seconds left on this ult. And that's slightly better.
Cooldown rollback destroys All Might.
Yeah, it does. Thankfully for me, everyone's running more of an attack Kurama, but anyone with using a cooldown reducing Kurama kind of fucks up his day a bit. But thankfully he still gets guts off, and that's the thing that actually matters. But yeah, I think that's a pretty good place for Smorgasbord. We discussed some cool head and we discussed some team, and hopefully next time we come back, which is whenever we have time to record something, we'll get into Coma and what the current state of the meta is at that point. Because like I think we took like the last one was a month ago, and now things have completely changed.
And Sasuke could very well change everything tonight. He's certainly designed to.
Yep, he could.
Whether or not he will is up.
Yeah, you know. I never thought that Kinnikuman would be best used as a side character, yet here we are. Alright then, say goodbye Zen. I think it's time to head on out.
Everybody, thanks for watching, and good luck on Sasuke, even though this will not be out before Sasuke comes out. If you pulled him, it's because I wished you luck in spirit right now.
Exactly, in spirit and force. Goodbye, everyone.